When we think of the Napoleonic Wars and of the reasons why Napoleon was defeated in the end, one of the first things which come to our mind is the Russian campaign. Undoubtedly, this is one of the reasons why Napoleon's force dwindled and why all Europe, including Austria and Prussia, decided to face the French ogre once again. The Russian campaign is full of horrific stories. It's full of terrible accounts of terrible moments which happened not only to the whole army but to individuals, to soldiers who had to face not only the harsh Russian conditions but also the Russian army itself. Starvation, extremely severe weather conditions, and obviously also a hostile territory, hostile population and enemy troops were among the main factors which in the end decided that many of those soldiers, not only French but also Polish, Austrian, Italian, never came back. Today I'd like to show you a game which enables us to recreate this fateful march. Hello, this is Michel Leviathan Sorbet and this is a new episode of Wojennik TV. Today I'd like to show you a game which will be focused on the Napoleonic Wars and on the Russian campaign. A game for two players which will allow us to recreate Napoleon's fateful march towards Moscow and then the disaster during the retreat of the French army. This game will be 1812, Napoleon's Fateful March. This is a game released by Vuca Simulations in 2024 for two players aged 14 or higher, with a time of play depending on the chosen scenario ranging from 90 to even 420 minutes. The game was designed by Brian Berg Asklev Hansen. The game, as the name suggests, will cover the French drive towards Moscow in 1812, when Napoleon decided to engage the Russians and to subdue them, to force them once again to be part of the continental system. This fateful march resulted in the capture of Moscow, but then in the disastrous retreat, which culminated with the Battle of the Berezina. In the end, the French were severely defeated and severely diminished. They weren't able to raise a sufficiently strong army next year in order to overcome the Allies, which again took initiative and defeated Napoleon in the epic Battle of Nations at Leipzig. In the end, we can argue that 1812 and the Russian campaign was the major reason why Napoleon was defeated in the end. This is something which is sometimes debatable, but we cannot argue that this was one of the absolutely major reasons why Napoleon failed in the end. The game is for two players, which means that one of the players will take control of the French army marching towards Moscow. The second will take control of the Russians, trying to stop the French, trying also to implement the guerrilla warfare which the Russians implemented back in 1812, and in the end to defeat the French. Both players will be using their own deck of cards and playing those cards to receive operation points as well as to activate events which will be part of the game, which will recreate some of the events which historically took place in 1812. Today I would like to open with you my copy of Napoleon's Fateful March. I'd like to look how the components of this game to verify how the components of this game look, and at the end of the video I would like to share with you my initial thoughts after opening the box. So without further ado, let's now take a look at how 1812 Napoleon's Fateful March look. Here is Brian Asklev's 1812 Napoleon's Fateful March in all its glory. Now, as it is often the case with games coming from Vuca Simulations, The box cover is very aesthetic, it's very minimalistic at the same time, but it is extremely pretty. I like the style, I like the fact that when you look at a game and at the box cover, you instantly think of Vuca Simulations. There is something exceptional when it comes to games coming from this publishing house. The back of the box, as always, describes what the game is about, and here we can learn from the description that 1812 is a two-player game that simulates Napoleon's invasion of Russia. At the operational level, it is an easy-to-play card-driven system that utilizes secret order placement, which ensures constant tension and little to no downtime. As befits the historical campaign, the game features a strong focus on logistic planning and much attrition, with a set of simple but highly narrative mechanics. We have also an information related to the type and number of components inside the box. Some game features: unit scale will be divisions, time scale 1 turn per month, map scale point to point approximately 70 kilometers between each point. The time of play will be from 2 to 6 hours, and it is a game for 2 players. The two scales used by Vuca Simulations: firstly, the complexity scale. The game is rated at 4 on a scale to 10, and solitaire suitability is only at 1. So this is obviously a game which you will grab if you do have a gaming partner with whom you can play this title. Although, as you can see, we have information that this is a game also for 1 to 2 players. So we'll see how the game works solo. Now let's take a look inside and let's verify how those components look and if this game is as pretty as all the other Vuca Simulation previous titles. Okay, let's take off this shrink wrap and let's see. Okay, the rule book, we have the very same illustration but a very different color scale. I like this. Here we have a dark color scale used. So we have a rule book. The rule book, as you can see, has information obviously related to the components, then terms and concepts, then we have the description of how the sequence of play will look like: turns 1 to 5, forced march, cavalry patrols, VPs, retreats, rally orders, end of turn, and that's it. So as you can see, it does not have a lot of rules in this rule book. It's not a very complex game. As you can see, the rule book is 20 pages long with also quite a big font, so it will be quite easy to grasp and to read. Only 2 columns of text. Some examples, which is always a welcome thing, which is always something extremely helpful while learning each and every game. Some illustrations here and there to increase also the aesthetic aspects. Alright, the second file, the second document in this game is the playbook. Here we'll get different scenarios, and as you can see, we have several ones. The first one is called the Eagle's March on Smolensk, then the Eagle's March on Moscow, the Grand Campaign, Hollow Victories, the Battles of Vitebsk, Smolensk and Borodino, Battle of Smolensk Campaign, and the Retreat of the Grand Army. So you have several ways of playing this game. That's always a nice thing because it significantly increases the replay value of the game. It significantly also increases the number of options which you will get. There will be different factors which should be taken into consideration. As you can see, we have information about how to set up the game, how to place the devastation markers, which will be extremely important, especially from the French perspective. So I believe this is also a file which will be extremely useful, very well laid, extremely interesting graphic here, the crossing of the Berezina River. That was the most climatic moment of the whole retreat of Napoleon from Moscow. Some player notes in this document also, with some hints related to playing Russia and France, and something which I always very enjoy a lot, the designer's notes indicating what were the rationale behind some of the author's decisions, why some mechanics were used, why some others were dropped. So this is always an interesting read. I do appreciate the fact that we have also such a section in this file. Then the components which will be used during the game. Now we have some blocks, obviously coming into colors, and all those who played, for instance, games such as Command and Colors, Napoleonics, or for instance Napoleon 1807, are used to and accustomed to the fact that French blocks are almost always blue, whereas Russian blocks are green, and that's the same case here. We'll be getting the same colors, which is good, which is also very well aligned with other wargames covering the topic. Apart from the blocks, we have also some cubes, again in two colors, and also 3 dice. One will be a standard 6-sided die, as you can see, a wooden one, a very pretty one, and we have 2 special ones with different symbols. As you can see, we have also a die showing a face with a snow icon. Here we have a sunny face, so this will be probably used for weather. This one will be used for over mechanics. Okay. And then we have also some supports which will be used for standees, if I'm correctly assuming. So we'll be getting a dozen of these officers and different units. So here we have Emperor Napoleon. I would like to free them all. Okay, let's free them from these shackles. And here we have Napoleon. It is a double-sided small mat. So we have a rating, battle orders, and probably the units which are assigned to the officer. We have Matvei Platov, the famous Cossack leader, Jérôme Bonaparte. We have Joachim Murat, Eugène de Beauharnais, Louis-Nicolas Davout, Karl von Schwarzenberg, who, yes, during the Russian campaign took part in it on the French side, because at this moment Austria was a French ally. Then Schwarzenberg was famous for being the leader of the coalition army in 1814, but that's a different story. Piotr Bagration, Peter Wittgenstein, Pavel Chichagov, the Tsar Alexander I himself, Mikhail Barclay de Tolly, Alexander Tormasov, and Mikhail Kutuzov. Okay, a lot of interesting officers, a lot of interesting historical figures. Each side will have their own deck of cards, the French deck and the Russian deck. Let's take a look at the French one first. I already see that those are extremely pretty cards. Now, they are slightly rounded. As you can see, the corners are slightly rounded. The cards are a little bit shining. They are okay, of a very good quality. I see that they are not too slim, not too sturdy, and yeah, that's a good quality. I'm very satisfied and pleased with what I'm seeing. Now, each of those cards, as you can see, has an illustration, a very climatic one, also some flavor text, which will enable us to learn some maybe less known facts about the Russian campaign. We have cards also with a number. We have also a depiction, I believe, associated to probably weather, but maybe to also the campaign which is chosen. So we have cards such as the Grand Battery, a Cavalry Charge, Murat's Cavalry, Skillful Maneuvers, Peace Offer, Infantry Squares, Davout Takes Command, etc., etc. A lot of historical elements which took place during the campaign. So here is, due to those two decks, Planszeo 6 core, due to these decks we have all the historical flavor which will be applied to the gameplay. If you're looking for any Russian campaign specific historical elements, they will be inside this deck. The Old Guard, yeah, extremely pretty. Okay, the artwork is absolutely astonishing. This is the back of the cards, also extremely elegant, extremely pretty. I like the style a lot. Let's take a look at the Russian deck, in which will be having the pretty much the same thing, but from the Russian perspective. Here I see we have also a dummy card, and then we have Russian soldiers, Russian officers, and some events which here are presented from the Russian perspective. Extreme Weather, Pride and Hesitation, Kutuzov Appointed, the Finland Corps, Treaty of Bucharest, the Tsar Lifts the Army, Flying Columns, City Ablaze, so we have also the Great Fire of Moscow, Stubborn Rearguard, New Posting, Exhausting March, Unexpected Retreat, Devastated Landscape, etc., etc. Platov's Cossacks. Yeah, so a lot of interesting things, and also each and every card, apart from the ones which are in several than one copy, with their own illustration, which significantly increase the historical value of the title. Then we have the playing board, which is, as you can see, a mounted one, which is the board used to depict the playing area. It is a one-sided board. On the second we have the Vuca Simulations logo. Okay, let's open it. Okay. So here is the playing board in all its glory. It's a big one. It shows practically the whole area where the fighting took place. We have Kiev on the deep south, and Ukraine, Moldavia. We have the central part with Minsk, with Smolensk. Then we have also on the eastern side Moscow itself, where the French will be obviously trying to get to. And on the western side of the board we have the Duchy of Warsaw, so the initial launching points of the whole campaign. We have the Neman River, which will be crossed by the French from the Grand Duchy of Warsaw in order to push towards Moscow. Now this is a point-to-point game, as you can see. The cities are connected by roads, by lines. This is not a hex and counter game. This is not a game in which you'll be having areas. There are points connected by lines of communication. Some of the cities depicted will be fortified ones, such as Mogilev, Smolensk. Others will be significantly smaller and not fortified. Apart from that, on the playing board we have also some holding boxes. We have, for instance, a box for France casualties. We have some tracks related to the different months during which the game can be played. So we have the track corresponding to July, August, September, October, November, and the end of June also. Then we have also the VP points track So we do have a lot of information on this map, although it's not a very complicated one. Point-to-point games tend to have very accessible, not too complicated maps, and this is the case also for Napoleon's Fateful March. Then let's take a look at the other components. Here we have the stickers, which will be applied to the blocks. Obviously we have the French ones and the Russian ones. The back of the stickers, which will be on the back of the stickers, on the back of the blocks, will apply the stickers with the flags, with the national flags, and then we'll be having also the front stickers which will correspond to Cossack raids, marching, defending, evading, forage, etc. Counters. Obviously we do have also some counters. There will be units in the game, and here are some French units, as you can see, infantry units in this case, and also devastation counters, and also the officer counters. As you can see, we have Napoleon, we have Jérôme, Joachim Murat, and Eugène de Beauharnais. Those will be the counters, and then used with the stand. Those are the standees. They will be used in order to show the position of each and every corresponding army on the playing board. Here is the reverse side of this counter sheet. As you can see, this is the first one of 4 which are part of the game. The second counter sheet will include some French cavalry, but primarily Russian forces, primarily infantry, Russian infantry, the 2 remaining French officers, and 2 of the Russian ones, including the Tsar Alexander I, and again some devastation markers. Here we have the backside of this counter sheet with units fatigued and struck by severe weather. The third counter sheet includes again some devastation counters, the remaining Russian officers, and some Russian units, including Cossack units, the time marker, the last turn marker, initiative marker, VP marker. The VP marker will be double-sided. As you can see, one side will be used for the French, the other side for Russian forces, depending on who leads on points. And we have also the fourth and final counter sheet, on which we'll be having some leaders, Russian leaders. Here is a problem with this sheet, as I see. I believe that it won't be impacting the gameplay a lot, but it's always sad to see such a thing on a new product. So I think I'll be informing Vuca of this fact. So here we have the officers' counters. We have obviously Kutuzov, Tormasov, the Tolly, and the French ones with some additional units. Then we have some additional playing aids. We have one of them which will be depicting all the information which are on the map, which will help us to understand how the different icons work, what they exactly show. We have also an explanation of the icons. On the second part of this playing aid, we have French leader abilities and Russian leader abilities. As you can see, each officer has their own playing abilities, which will be used during the game, and also a weather table. Now this is a playing aid which is in two copies. The first one will be used by one of the players, the second by the second one. Those are not simple paper sheets. As you can see, those are sturdy, of a high quality player aids, which will be extremely pleasant to use. And the same applies to the second player aids sheet. This one includes the sequence of play. There will be one for the French player, the second one will be for the Russian player, with also a depiction of the card options, both for the Russian side as well as for the French side. And on the second side of this sheet will be also getting information related to battle resolution, to pursuit after battle, to retreating, victory points, attrition, all the information that we need to play the game and not to browse through the rulebook on a regular basis. That's it when it comes to the components which are part of 1812 Napoleon's Fateful March. Now I would like to invite you to the last part of this video. I'd like to share with you my initial thoughts and my initial impressions after looking at the components which are part of this game. Here is a little step back, because before I invite you to the last part of the video, I would like to show you something. After recording my unboxing video, I instantly contacted Vuca Simulations, indicating that I have an issue with one of the counter sheets, the one which I showed you a few moments ago. And the result of this contact is the fact that after not more than 5 days, I received a replacement counter sheet, and here it is. As you can see, it is the same one which I had in my original copy of the game, the one which had the issues. As you can see, that's a counter sheet which is not totally flawed, because we do have a lot of counters which are intact. In reality, there will be somewhere around 7 or 8 impacted, but that doesn't mean that this is a product which is of the highest quality possible. So Vuca Simulations, without any discussion, sent me a replacement counter sheet, and here it is. Not less than 5 days, guys. So why is it important? Two elements are here. The first one is that the good news is that not all the series has this flaw. It is only my copy which had such an issue. The second good news is that if any of you has any such issues with their counter sheet, here is the proof that Vuca Simulations will instantly react to any such issues, and they will probably, or I am certain that they will resend you a replacement counter sheet without any problems. So as it is always when it is the case with some flawed elements of any board game, if the publisher reacts in a very positive way, in a way which is very customer focused, they receive from me a thumbs up. So here is a big thumbs up for Vuca Simulations for instantly and very urgently reacting to my complaint related to the quality of one of the counter sheets. Now I would like to invite you in the end to the last part of the video. I would like to pass to my initial thoughts, to my initial remarks. So let's jump right into it. During this final part of the video, two things have to be said. Firstly, I would like to focus on the quality of the components and on my initial impressions related to how they look, how numerous they are, how functional I believe they will be. The second aspect is related to customer care and the way how Vuca Simulations handled the fact that I had one of the counter sheets damaged. I already told a few words a few moments ago about the second aspect and about how Vuca Simulations reacted, but this is something which we all should underline, which we all should repeat. This was top-notch. This is an approach which I expect from publishers when I do receive a product which is not of the highest quality, which is not conform to what I expected to receive. In this case, I absolutely had no issues. I contacted Vuca Simulations after stopping the recording of my video, and I instantly received a response. The counter sheet arrived under 5 days, so it was extremely quick. So again, a big thumbs up for Vuca Simulations. This is how such issues should be handled. Now, when I focus on the second aspect, on the quality of the components of this game, this is the quality which Vuca Simulations already accustomed us to. This is a high quality product. Vuca Simulations has extremely pretty games, and the same applies to 1812 Napoleon's Fateful March. It is not an exception. The cards are beautiful. They are not only of a very high quality with rounded corners, but also they have extremely pretty artwork. The back of the cards is extremely elegant. This is extremely pretty. I absolutely love it. The map is A little bit simplistic, but again, it's very functional in my opinion. When looking at it, I absolutely have no doubt where things are, what they are meant to represent. It is not a map which is overly complicated, which is also a good thing, especially when it comes to point-to-point games, where the different terrain features are of a lesser importance than in hex and counter games. I also appreciate the fact that we do receive a lot of player aids of, again, an extremely high quality. Those are not standard paper sheets, but cardboard. And this is also something which is exceptional when it comes to Vuca Simulations products. The two files, the two documents also are, in my opinion, very well laid. The font is okay, the styling is okay. I believe that it will be quite easy to read, quite easy to understand. It is good that we do have a lot of examples. It is also good that we do have a lot of scenarios which will enable us to play the game in accordance to our current needs or expectations. If we want to play a shorter game, we'll be able to choose from one of those scenarios, the one which will be significantly shorter than the others. Or if we want to play the whole campaign, we can also do it. The time of play will be over 6 hours, but it is still feasible. It's still feasible even in one day, even in one evening. This is not a monster game. This is an accessible card-driven game which should be possible to be played in the majority of the cases in around 2 hours. And this is extremely accessible. This is something which makes this game even more attractive and even more appealing. I will be giving you additional information about this game during my future videos. I intend to prepare a how to play, during which I will explain all the mechanics and all the ideas behind the game. And then I will also present you a review in which I will not only share with you a brief explanation of how the game works, but also I will give you any thoughts related to my gameplays, and I will indicate what I liked in the game, but also what I think could be done better, as I always do in my reviews. Until then, I jump into the rulebook. I jump into the read of the rulebook for Napoleon's Fateful March, and I can't wait playing my first game. This was the unboxing of 1812 Napoleon's Fateful March from Vuca Simulations. Thank you very much for watching this video. I also invite you to my other videos on my channel. Take also a look at my Facebook, Instagram and Twitter accounts. Have a great day and see you next time.